Today I want to talk to you about a pretty important topic. You hear about people losing their eBay accounts or being suspended from eBay. That to me is very scary. eBay, my eBay account, is an asset to me. It is my form, well, a good portion of my form of income, and I don't want to lose it. So I want to make sure I'm protecting myself the best I can and make sure my eBay account doesn't get suspended. And I'm sure you feel the same way, whether you're doing it as a hobby, part-time, or as a full-time. You don't want to lose that eBay account. So let's dig deeper and see what we can do to make sure we're protecting ourselves. My name is Ann, and I've been reselling for quite some time with my husband Bill, and we really enjoy it. We started out dating and we would go to rummage sales and things like that, and it just fit us. And so I want to make sure I'm protecting my eBay account. One of the first things to consider is what you're selling. Now, there are certain things that are prohibited on eBay. Let's discuss that topic a little bit more detail, but I do need to pick some orders while we do this. So let me see what the first item is. So this is a service manual for, it's Mercruisers, basically Mercury Marine, and it's for GMV6 balance shafts. So we're selling a lot of service manuals, especially for boats recently. So this one sold for $20, and the customer did pay shipping on this, so that was great. We have another boat item. I sold one of these the other day as well. This is a hydraulic hose for Mercury's, and this sold for $30, free shipping. It's a pretty light ship, and I'll just put this in a poly bag so it won't cost me too much. So $30 plus shipping. And we had a couple of these hoses. I think we had 6. So we sold one last week, or late last week, and then one today. And I just listed them. So it looks like they're going to be good sellers. Items that are not allowed to be sold on eBay. I think the ones that people get in trouble with a lot is counterfeit items. And I don't think that people most of the time mean to misrepresent the item. Now, there are certain replica items that you can sell, but you need to say that it's a replica. Like, I have these stoves, these wood-burning stoves that are replicas of antique items. They are remade. But I'm not saying this is an antique. This is something that they're remaking nowadays. They're making replica toy stoves, wood-burning stoves. They're toys. They're not meant to be or claim to be truly antique. But if you try to counterfeit, like a purse, like a Coach purse, or jewelry or things like that, you're misrepresenting and you're selling falsely. And now eBay actually has a process that anything over $100 with, like, say, shoes goes and gets authenticated. I think that's great. It needs to be that way to protect the customers. And if customers don't feel safe buying on eBay, well, then they're not going to buy your items. So just be careful. I mean, things happen and mistakes happen. And if it happens once or twice, eBay is not going to knock you off. But if it keeps happening, well, then they're going to start wondering what's going on, and you got some explaining to do. Next item is a record. Now, this is a really good sale. This is The Cure. It's an original 1989. This sold for $175 for shipping. Now, there's not a lot of records that sell for that type of price, but we do find them. And we had another video recently about house auctions, and we went to the auction for the records that were advertised. This is not the most expensive record we pulled from that estate sale. So records can be profitable, but you do need to know what you're looking for. Next item, another record. Okay, this is the Kinks, and this was not a good sale, but it came with a whole bunch of other records, and it's been in our stock for quite some time, so it did go through our sales program. This one only sold for $11.88 free shipping. So I'm not going to make much money on this, but hopefully the customer will enjoy it and it'll go to a good home. So I'm okay with that. Another thing that you can't sell on eBay is Vero items. Vero items are things that are pretty much name brand. The companies come back and say, we own that trademark. That's ours. You don't have rights to sell it. And eBay does have a list of these Vero items, and it is something to pay attention to. The easiest way to find that list, though, is Google it. Google eBay Vero listings, V-E-R-O. And just make sure you know it's there. I'll be honest with you, you're never going to know all of them. The list is very large. But it is a good thing to pay attention to. You're never going to get them all, but if you learn them and you take it off or you sell something of a certain item, you may want to learn those items. They also have a list of prohibited items to sell on eBay. This list is long as well, but it is a good thing to go through it. Now, some of the items that are on it are, I just pulled a couple off of here. Adult items, you know, you don't want to sell anything too risque. Military items or government issued items. Now this can get a little sticky because there are military items that you can sell, but then there's other ones that you can't. So I've gotten items pulled from that I've listed that I thought was okay and it got pulled, but it is something to keep watching. Another one to consider is medical devices. And this one, I'll tell you, those medical devices can be expensive, even if you have insurance, but most of them can't be resold. So stay away from medical devices when you're out thrifting. And then there's some that it's like, I can't even believe we have to say this, human remains. You cannot buy or sell human remains. Makes sense, I guess, but I don't think it should have to be listed. But these prohibited items, again, I have found the easiest way to find this list is go onto Google and search eBay restricted items or prohibited items to sell on eBay. And you'll find the list. Make sure you look on the list on eBay because that's going to be the most accurate. And another thing about this is, and I think I stated it earlier, it's not if you have one or two things get pulled from eBay that they're going to say, you can't sell on it anymore. It's people who continually do this, continually over and over. eBay usually understands mistakes happen, but if it keeps happening, then there's an issue. Then we have a problem. All right, let's pull another item here. Okay, a couple more records. Okay, this one's Chick Corea Bliss in 1973, and this sold for $35 free shipping. And then we have Pure Prairie League, and this one sold for $20 free shipping. So some good bread and butter items. One thing I forgot to mention on items that you can't sell stolen or illegal items. Basically, use common sense with this stuff, you know. All right, now, another thing that can get you in trouble is late shipments. Now, make sure that your tracking number gets put into eBay. Now, if you're getting your labels off of eBay, then you shouldn't have any problem because eBay will automatically put that tracking number in for you. The other thing I do suggest, though, is make sure your items get scanned in at the post office. It's just an extra protection because honestly, your tracking number only goes so far. If it doesn't get to the post office, eBay has that tracking number and it's going to see that it wasn't delivered to the post office. So protect your account with that. Make sure you're not having late shipments. You know, we have one business day, so Saturday and Sunday holidays don't count, but we do ship every single day. Every single business day we do ship, and we have to stick to that or we get dinged. Now, if you don't feel like you can stick to shipping within the next business day, they do have other options. Don't overcommit yourself. Make sure you're committing to what you can actually do and follow through with it. Let's pull another one. These are washers for mercury, but they're not like your common metal washers. They're calling them fiber washers. I don't know if you can see them, but they almost look like a foam type thing. So they must be sort of specialized, but the customer bought 2 packs of them. So make sure you watch those quantities when you're shipping items. These sold for $25 for each bag. So this, since he bought 2, it was $50 free shipping. Next item is a Kenneth Cole ladies watch, and this sold for $31.50 free shipping. It's pretty. It's got like blue in there. So we do always make sure the watches that we sell are working. Otherwise, we make sure we do describe it in the listing. Another thing that can get you in trouble is too many cancellations without good reason. So you can have cancellations per customer request. That's fine. I mean, customers are going to request here and there. And honestly, my opinion is if a customer wants to cancel an order, let them cancel it. All they're going to do otherwise is return it or give you poor feedback or whatever. But so our policy is we do accept the cancellations. So that is a legit reason to cancel an order. What is not a legit reason is because you lost it, or one time I was packaging up a record and I dropped it and I broke it. Well, I wasn't going to send that record to the customer. That wouldn't be right. So I did take it off, but it was a defect against me because I wasn't able to ship it. So losing an item is not okay. You know, eBay wants you to treat the customers with respect. And so cancellations for no good reason, it does go against your seller reputation and your seller's score with eBay. So just too much of that, you know, if it happens here and there, it's going to happen, but there's a percentage against how much you sell. So the more you do sell, the more room you have for error. Next item, I got to go grab from the other room. So this item is just a light shade, a ceiling light shade, but it is vintage and it's got the diamond cut. It might even be antique, but I think it's vintage. I'm going to say vintage. It does have the diamond cut. It isn't extremely rare, but it is something that when people are redoing their older homes and want to keep it, to the period, that they are looking for things like this. And I went to an estate sale and I didn't find anything. It was pretty dug through. And I saw this. I got it for $1. And we sold it for $25 plus shipping, but it's clean. It's got no chips, nothing. It's very good condition. This is a valve kit for Mercury marine boats, and this sold for $20 free shipping. Okay, here's another service manual for Mercury Marine. It's Force Outboards, but this one sold for $38 free shipping. Okay, I was talking earlier about you want to make sure you're taking care of your customers and you want to treat them fairly, right? Well, that customer feedback does affect you. And so eBay looks at that on a regular basis. And so do your customers. So if you don't have good feedback, that's going to hurt you. Another thing is feedback manipulation. Feedback manipulation is when you offer, money or money off or items for free to get better feedback. Now, we want our customers to give honest and legit feedback. I know as a buyer, when I go and look at somebody's feedback, I want to make sure it's legit. And we also don't want to see anybody making false purchases just to give feedback. Like, you don't want to have family and friends buy something, give feedback, and then return it and you give them a refund. I mean, just don't play games with it. Do feedback legit. Another thing is if you have, customer issues, respond to them. Make sure, you might not always agree with the customer, or you might not feel that the customer is being legit, but don't ignore the situation. Take care of it. Respond to them. If you have to, get eBay involved. I've had to get eBay involved in certain things, or I'd ask them what they would like me to do. And that doesn't mean that I will always do it. But usually we can come up with a good compromise between the situations. The thing is if you ignore it, the customer is going to go directly to eBay. And they may do it even before contacting you. But if eBay has to get involved and you're not actively trying to rectify the situation, eBay's not going to be happy. And that's going to be a mark against you. Okay, the next sale is a Scorpions record worldwide live. So this is an LP for $20 and free shipping. We have another Mercury Cruiser service manual. This one sold for $26 free shipping. All right, I'll never get the name of this one, but it's 1976 Antilles Islands Records, Inc. This one sold for $27.50, and that was free shipping. This one you can really get in trouble for. Shell bidding. You do not want to have your friends or family members. If you have an item going on auction, let it be legit. Let it go through the process. If you have a good item and you have it listed properly, hopefully you'll get good money. But auctions are always a risk. Don't have family members or friends jump in and bid and make false bids. Don't have a second account where you're jumping in and making false bids. You get caught with that one, you're almost guaranteed to lose your account. Now, another thing I would suggest to be careful with is manipulating your listings, whether it's a buy it now or an auction. Take good pictures. Make sure you're highlighting anything that is wrong with an item. I've sold items that have chips in it or clothing that has a stain, but I'll show it. I'll show it in the pictures. I'll mark it in the descriptions. I want to make sure my descriptions are accurate. And just because it has a chip or a stain doesn't mean that it's not going to sell. It obviously isn't going to sell for as much as you were hoping to get if it didn't have it. But don't cause yourself problems or headaches by being manipulative. Just be honest, and it is what it is. You'll get what you get. And hopefully it'll still be a good sale. So the next item I have wrapped up, but it's a Yamaha specialized tool. I believe it was for measuring the gasket sizing. I don't know. This one I have wrapped up. It is a marine tool for Yamahas. And I have it wrapped up because I didn't want to get other things dirty in the box. So I'm just protecting other things. This one sold for $25 and the customer did pay shipping. It's actually pretty heavy. This is like a solid piece of metal. The next one is a pretty good sale. This one sold for $100 plus shipping. And this is a warning panel for Mercury boats. So $100, and I'm sorry, the customer did pay shipping. So another thing that eBay is going to get really upset with you about is if you try to avoid their fees. So the whole reason why you pay fees on your shipping costs nowadays is because, like, years ago, eBay did not charge you fees on your shipping costs. But then what people started to do was they would increase their shipping costs on the listing and lower their sales price of the item to avoid fees to eBay. Well, eBay said, no, no, no. They want their money too, which, I mean, they are providing you a service, and so they deserve to get paid. So now you pay fees on your shipping as well as your sales price. And so anytime that you try to avoid eBay's fees, well, eBay isn't going to like it. And so what some people try to do is contact the buyer and have them meet up with them outside of eBay and to avoid the fees of selling on eBay. That's a big no-no. So my suggestion is anything that's selling on eBay should sell on eBay, and keep everything on eBay. You know, even local pickups, like you can have people do a local pickup, but there is a QR code, I believe. There's a way to handle it where the customer acknowledges that he received it, but all payments go through eBay still. You don't do cash payments on it. So no Cash App, no, just keep it on eBay and you'll be safe. So I have another item here. This was a really good item. This is a stator for Mercury. It's Quicksilver, so it's an OEM part for a Mercury boat. And this one sold for $150. I mean, we did give them free shipping, but $150 isn't too bad for that one. Another one I want to discuss with you is multiple accounts on eBay. Now that is legit. You can have multiple accounts. I actually have a second account. I can't say I really use it. I have it. I thought I would use it and I never did. So sometimes people will have a second account just so that they can keep like items together. Maybe one's for clothing and one's for automotive parts. Or maybe their husband has an account and a wife has an account. It really depends on the IP address that you're pulling from. And it's okay to have multiple accounts on eBay. That's not an issue. The issue comes into play when you try to manipulate the situation with multiple accounts. Now, the other thing is because eBay can't always tell if something's funny is going on with multiple accounts, you know, having other people sign into your account, especially in other locations, can put up a red flag. If you have somebody sign into your account, eBay does have a multi-user access program. Look on eBay and check that out. The only reason I say it is it can throw up a red flag to have multiple people signing into your account, especially if you have them in another location. I know some people use VAs. That's when you have to use that multiple user access. Look it up on eBay. There's some specifics to it, and I don't really want to get into all that here. But the multiple accounts, now that is safe too, but don't use it to manipulate. Using multiple accounts is fine as long as you're not using it dishonestly. Now, some ways that people are using them that are not going to be approved are getting around selling limits. Now, that's a big one. When you first start on eBay, they do limit the amount of items that you can sell. Now, this is because it is a learning process to sell on eBay, and as you get better at it, they'll increase your limits. I am to the point where I don't have selling. They've taken off my selling limits. I am approved, good to go, but I've also been doing it for over a decade. So it does take time to get there, but honestly, if you don't feel like you have enough, you need more selling, you need to have your limit increased, contact eBay. I've heard that they will increase it pretty regularly for you if you call them, if you're not where you want to be. The other thing would be escaping negative feedback. You know, feedback's going to fall off in time. Just do better. You know, if you're getting negative feedback, own up to it. Try to do what you can to fix it. Respond to it. If you have negative feedback and you don't feel like it was legit, respond to it. Sometimes you can have feedback taken down, but it's something to look at and something to just work through. But opening up in a second account to avoid it really isn't going to help you much. Having a second account to list items that are risky, like bureau accounts or prohibited items, you think you're protecting your main account. You're not. eBay looks at that IP address and they know it's still you. So you're putting both accounts at risk, not just the one that you're listing on. And then the other thing that people try to do is if they get suspended on eBay, they'll open up a second account. eBay is going to see that, and I've heard of a case. Now, I don't know personally, but this is what I've heard, is that a person opened a second account because their first account was suspended. They ended up not just suspending them, they blocked them from eBay permanently, and that's not a risk I want to take. I do have a couple more things that I have to pull. It is in my shed, so I'm going to take you out there and we're going to go grab those. Okay, so we're out in my shed, and I have to tell you guys, this weekend was so busy. We finally cleaned up our shed, got a lot listed, all that stuff that is so big, you got to put it on Facebook Marketplace, the stuff that you just never get to. And so this is a 12 by 32 shed. So it's a big shed. We had it packed with stuff. I wish I would have showed you a before picture, but I don't know if you've heard my phone dinging, but my messaging on Facebook has been going nuts because we were actually good and got rid of all, listed so much of the items that needed to go on Facebook Marketplace that we were avoiding. And so now we should be able to get a new storage unit. We still have some stuff to go through, so we're gonna wait a little bit longer, but I gotta show you. This was completely full. So, okay, so this was completely packed. Over there are just bins that we use on a regular basis. When we clean out storage units and stuff, we'll fill it out. Extra boxes that we have. All this was piled high over here. It was just crazy the amount of stuff we have. Another shelving unit that I'm going to be putting up in another room. A shelter kit, but all this space over here was packed with stuff. I mean, it was coming out to the middle. There was one aisle in between that whole area. And so it isn't just the eBay sales, but we've had a lot of Facebook sales this weekend too. And then I have this side of as well for larger items that we list, some of the heavier items. And I got some items in this bin over here, bin A. So that's why I brought you out here. So let's go grab those. Okay, so the first one that we have is this is Matco pinhead hammer BH24F. So those Matco, Mac, what's the other one? Snap-on. All those industrial or those professional grade tools, they sell. That one sold for $28.50. The customer did pay for shipping. And then this is a dead blow hammer. this one's Snap-on. So this one sold for $104.50, and the customer paid shipping. This one actually sold on an offer. So those are some good sales. Those two are actually ones that if you know, my son has been getting rid of some of his professional tools, so those profits will go to him. So we are coming to the end of the video, and I just have a couple tips for you to make sure, and some reminders for myself too, because I do believe that my eBay account is an asset for me, and I do protect it, and so does my husband. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to sell on eBay, and we're proud to sell on eBay, and I have made it into a living. And so, couple tips. Make sure you keep all your communication on eBay when it is an eBay sale. This is not saying that you can't sell on other places. Like I mentioned in this video, I do sell on Facebook. We sell on Whatnot. We sell at flea markets. We've sold on other platforms as well. But when we are dealing with an eBay sale, we're going to keep it on eBay, and we're going to treat eBay fairly in it, as well as the customer. Another tip for you is make sure you pay attention to those performance metrics. You can find them on the Seller Hub area of your eBay account. And you can see, are you having a lot of returns? How's your feedback? There is an area on there that you can get all this data and watch it. If you're having a poor time in one area, work on fixing it. Do your best. That's all we can do in life. So let's pay attention to those metrics. Another thing would be use accurate descriptions. You don't want to get clickbaity. You just want to be giving honest, reliable information. You don't want to get into crosshairs about what something is. Just make sure you're being honest and showing any defects, and make sure, to the best of your knowledge, that it is authentic. Good customer service is always number one, and you will get better sales in the long run with good customer service. Sometimes things will happen that you may not always be happy with, but be polite, be respectful, be professional. And the biggest thing I would say is be honest. You know, your reputation is everything, and you want to make sure that you treat others how you want to be treated, and just show some respect in your selling. There is ethics in business, and I'll tell you, businesses that are ethical tend to do better. And the last one is do have a backup plan. Nothing in life is guaranteed. Even if eBay doesn't kick you off, who knows where eBay will be in the future? Do I see it going anywhere? I don't. I think eBay is here to stay. You know, there are other marketplaces that are coming out, but eBay has continued to be strong. Will it always be? Who knows? But will you always have an account with eBay, or could other platforms be beneficial? Make sure you have a backup plan. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Me and my husband both decided that we would get our auctioneer's license just to be on the safe side. We're also trying, we just started on the Whatnot platform. We really were not sure we wanted to do Whatnot. We wanted to see where it was going. So we've done a couple auctions there now. You're more than welcome to come visit us there. Our site name there is Reselling Adventures as well. And so do have a backup plan. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. eBay should not be your one source of income. I think you need to diversify in anything that you do. So that is the end of this video. I hope you got something out of it. Make sure you protect yourself and your families. And in the meantime, have fun, enjoy what you're doing. I know I feel really good about what we did this weekend as I cleaned out my shed, and it is turning out to be profitable because I did it and less stress. So in the meantime, happy selling, and I'll see you on the next one.